how do we make this seamless so that it doesn't interfere with how you create your content? You don't have to upload anything to Repurpose. That's always been my design rule. Do not force the creator to get a copy of that video and put it onto Repurpose. You never have to. We grab it from whatever platform and we send it to whatever platform.
So you've caught on. You've realized that the digital real estate game is taking over the physical real estate game. What I mean by that is every real estate transaction that occurs these days starts with a digital asset, such as this phone. Whether it's an interface, whether it's a software, whether it's a system, whether it's the MLS, whether it's an Airbnb or Vrbo, it starts with a digital touch point. So in the digital asset series, we are going to talk about marketing. We're going to talk about digital marketing. We're going to talk about content. We're going to talk about branding. We're going to talk about the very own things or verticals that lead to real estate transactions, which you will realize that the majority of them are all virtual. This is why we're starting this segment, because as important as we understand physical real estate is and will always be indestructible, because people will always need a place to live, we understand that now technology is playing a whole different ball game in the real estate space, and you want to make sure that you have this on your tool belt and you understand how to leverage these digital assets so that you can have these experiments that can then lead to these physical assets. Now, the same rules of the game apply as they always do in the lab. Get your white coat on, gloves on, notepad, and let's build, y'all.
Real estate experiment. What is happening, y'all? Today, I have the pleasure of having Hani Mourra into the lab with us. Did I get that right? We were just talking about this. I want to make sure I get the name correct because there's a lot of culture behind that.
Yeah, you nailed it. You nailed it.
Oh, well, first of all, speaking of culture, anytime we have another Canadian in the lab, it's always a special one. So no pressure, Hani, but I'm really excited about this one. We were just connecting offline, and there's a lot of crossover serendipity. Don't want to let it go to waste. I grew up in Hamilton. You're currently located in Toronto. I was just in Toronto a month ago. My brother lives there, my sister-in-law, and my little nephew. So always make my way there. Love it, especially at this time of the year. It's going to start to get nice. So man, I want to first of all welcome you to the lab, Hani, because you are another repurposing geek. And repurpose, I mean, if I were to count how many times I use that word, not only is it because it's part of our agency, but what I appreciate, what you've ended up turning it into, the goal, the dream, software as a service. My goodness, repurpose.io. But with that said, I did do my homework, because we do our homework here, and you seem to have a lot of automated history with the Simple Life Press, simplevideopress.com, simplesocialpress.com, simplepodcastpress.com. My man, what's the story here? We're just an automation machine here. Like, what's going on? What was the bug? And I know you got the engineer background as well too. So let's talk about that. How did this happen?
Yeah, I'm an engineer, computer engineer, and who always loved video, even as a kid. Before I get into engineering, I've always had this video passion. Like, I would take all the home videos as a kid and put them together. So every time we go on a trip and we come back, we all watch the edited version. And that was me. That was always my job in the family, and people loved it. I loved doing it. I spent hours on it. Anyway, took my engineering software background. I loved video. And then I started blogging. I didn't know, I just started blogging about video. That's how I got into the online space, right? Blogging, teaching video marketing, optimization, YouTube. I really like that stuff. It's cool. But then I was like, what am I going to do with this blog? How do I monetize it? What's the next level? People would think, oh, do a course, do a training program, but that wasn't me. It wasn't my style. And then one day I was just sitting there, I was like, I got to build a tool for video creators. And then just light bulb moment came out. I didn't know what it was, but it didn't matter. I was like, the excitement was there. I'm like, I got to build a tool. And the first tool I built was, I think 10 years ago now, still around. It's the Simple Video Press. And the whole purpose was put a video on YouTube, it automatically shows up on my WordPress blog, because I was always blogging, and I hated the fact that I got to go to YouTube, copy the title, copy the embed code, paste it into here, all that like monkey work, or what you want to call it, like just like boring stuff. I wish it just showed up on my website. And that's the first tool I built. I shared it with a few people, and they're like, "Oh, this is awesome. I love it." And then partnered up with somebody, and that was the first software I've ever sold. And from there, it evolved. Got involved in the podcasting space. Someone's like, "Hey, take your video press and make a podcasting version of that, where you take your podcast for on your WordPress site." Hey, that's a good idea. So that was.
So Hani, so you started from a young age. I'm trying to I want to make sure this doesn't slip through the cracks here, because you went to school for engineering, right? And so when did this blogging thing happen? Was that while you were also studying engineering?
No, after engineering, I got a job, working as an engineer, product manager. I've always like been in the software space. And then, but my passion was like, and I always got a job in a completely different field, in a whole different field, like nothing to do with video, but it was, managing software, well, a little bit of coding and then managing software. So I like building. I've always liked building stuff. But the blogging thing is like, a buddy of mine's like, you got to try blogging. I think 2009. It's like, you got to start blogging and, teach people stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay, let's do that. What do I like? I like video. Let's talk about video. So I started kind of teaching about video in 2009. And then probably 2000, I think it's about 5 years later is when I built my first tool. So it was like blogging for about 5 years on the side, doing this, like, I love video, but I want to build a business. I want to create something. And I'm a software creator. That's my space. And that's how I built the first tool. I mean, I didn't do all the coding myself. I'm not crazy like that. I do the coding, but I did hire somebody. But I find my passion, my role is like coming up with an idea, a problem. How do I solve it? How do I architect? What pieces do I need to put together to make this happen? And then getting the right people to help me out.
So do you feel that you're and I think you were your own avatar, because that's typically what we do as entrepreneurs. Like we're scratching our own itch, right? But like when you're doing all these, other projects that you've done, what's the user experience feedback like? Are you kind of targeting other, video creators like yourself? Was it just kind of like, no, I need to solve my problem and then put it out in the marketplace? Like, I'm just very curious as like your process behind it.
No, it's a great question. The first thing I did was like, well, what problem am I solving? I want to automate this one thing. Okay, YouTube videos, my WordPress site. What is the bare minimum that I need to solve? Like, what does that look like? Okay, publish a video, let it show up. How does that happen? I read technical documents and figure out the logistics. Okay, cool. So we got that basic stuff working, and then you got to get it out there, right? I mean, like I'm solving my own problem, and then you got to get feedback from other creators, right? Because when I got more into the software, I was blogging less and posting less. So we got it out. We had a beta group, 20, 30 people, started getting feedback. So the guys, what I'm trying to say is I built something small, like functional, then get it out in as many hands as possible and let the users drive. And we'll get to the repurpose story, but really it all started by just that whole experience of one little software for WordPress that did one thing. And then it grew in features based on the users. And basically that drove us to where we are with Repurpose. Like, I'm into that for sure, but starting small and then getting into many people's hands. It's not, I build it for myself, but I'm not the only user, right? People have different use cases, use it differently. They want playlists, they want this, they want that. Like you got to listen, process, and you got to be okay pivoting. I had a vision, but some people took it a little bit this way and people took it that way. And I took all those things in consideration when I was building the first software.
I love that you said that, because that's how my agency started too. Like I think we were talking about earlier offline, where at first I thought I was gonna go and do like a staffing format agency, and then it was like, no, hey, this is what I need. Can you do it for me? And then we did it, and then we figured out there was more need for it. So, and it's very on brand too with what we talk about, the experiments in your lab, right? It's kind of like you start off with one, and then that one gives you data, and then you react to that data, and then you kind of course correct, and it guides you towards that new direction that you're going in. I would find it very, it's very rare that I find that someone's been like, okay, this is exactly what I thought it would do. It's just, it starts with that, and then that opens up an opportunity, or they hear another aching pain or an opportunity to solve another problem. Which is really, I'm sure that I could kind of see that track record. Let me ask you though, as I'm looking, it seems like I mean, when you look at someone's career, like your entrepreneur resume, it's like a building block, like literally, right? Like we did this, then we did that. How do you, for some of our listeners listening, like how do you know that the data that you're getting is actually, yes, the right indicator for you to make that next jump or that next decision or next chance, right? And for our listeners, some of us, it could be, oh yeah, I really need to tackle this opportunity, but how do I, with all these stimulants, with all these opportunity, the grass is always greener. Like, how did you process saying, okay, this is this direction we're going to go into, and here are the two options that I had, or even three, and this is one I'm going to pick? How do you process that?
Yeah, it's hard. It gets harder now as we like go into bigger platform, more users, more customers. It's harder. But when I started, I think you said it, like I didn't know, I was scratching my own itch, solving one problem, and then getting user feedback about, okay, adding more features, etc. But before that, I was solving a problem that I knew really well. Like, this is a problem I had. I know the problem. I know how to solve it. I love the space. Like, I love automation. I love software. So I loved everything about it. And that just motivated me to stick around. Like, if I'm trying to solve a problem in the fitness space, my brother tried to get me, oh, let's build some apps. He's in the fitness space. Well, let's build apps for fitness space. Yeah, we could probably do that. I can manage that, I can make it happen, but it's not the space that I like to be in. Like, I'm like, I've always been a content creator, video guy. Let's stick with this. I know this. And so that's one really important point, is because there's ups and downs, especially when you first time you do something, like first time building software. Even though it's relatively small, it's for WordPress. It wasn't like a whole platform like we have today, but it's scary. You're like, I'm investing money, investing time. Who's going to buy it? How am I going to sell it? Who's going to support it? How am I going to maintain it? Like, there's a lot of questions, but I knew, like, I wanted to make this happen. I wanted to just prove to myself that I can build a software and get it out to the world. It offered value to me. I want to get it out to people, see if it offered value to them in a space that I love. And I think that's the most important thing. To get through the ups and downs, it's got to be a space that you love.
Got it. So let's talk about that. We're talking about the problem, and we're talking about it at like a macro level. Let's get into the details. Like, when we hear repurpose content, I'm throwing you an alley oop here. Like, what problem is it that you're serving, and why is it important for one to consider this strategy if a creator is not using this strategy?
Yeah. So the whole idea of repurposing and the platform repurpose.io is just to get your content in front of as many people as possible on as many different platforms and in as many different formats, clips, videos, audios, etc. So basically, the bottom line is you want to get your message out to as many people as possible. With our platform is designed so that it automates a lot of it. So that's the goal. Get your message out without doing a lot of the manual work.
Yeah. So
downloading the video editing, and stuff like that, which entrepreneurs don't have time, creators don't have time to be doing.
Yeah, no, that was gonna be my next thing. Is what is it? Was there something in particular, or an aching point that you heard over and over as you're speaking to these entrepreneurs? I think you started touching on it a little bit, but I want to hear it from you. Like, what is it that makes content creation so difficult? Like, what aspect do you feel is the one that gets echoed the most as a difficult pain point?
No, I mean, like the fact that every platform kind of has its own requirements. This one's going to be 60 minutes, and this one has to be vertical, and this one has to be this, and this one has to be that, and like, how many different videos, or how many different shoots of the videos, or how many ways you're going to edit that video so that you're compatible on every platform. That's one pain point. The other pain point is, how do I, like, every time I make a video, I'm going to upload here, and then upload here, and then upload here, and then write a description, then write a tweet, and then write a LinkedIn video, and then do an Instagram video, and then I got to post it to TikTok. It's like exhausting, right? You don't, just like, the more content I create, the more I have to edit, and then the more I have to publish everywhere. It's just, forget it. It's not worth it. So people kind of get to that burnout stage where I can't keep up. It's already exhausting making content, because you're putting your heart and soul in. And that's the most important part, is the actual content you're creating. All the other stuff, you want to outsource it, or you want to automate it, or both.
And considering now that because repurpose.io does a lot now, right? Like it's like you talk about formatting, you talk about scheduling.
Mhm.
Is there which feature came first, and did one get added on over time as you kind of?
So we're in our fifth year now. Just looking back, I'm like, wow, 5 years flew by really quick with Repurpose. And we started, again, back to this solving one problem. We were helping podcasters getting audio content into video, which they call them audiograms, like basically little video clips. Actually, not even a clip. It was taking a full podcast episode, turning it into a full video, and uploading it to YouTube.
When was that, by the way? What year was that?
That was 5 years ago now. So what year are we in now? The math, you're putting me on the spot here. 2022, so 2017.
Yeah.
That was like, I got involved in I love the podcasting community. Like this. Let's backtrack a quick second. The first tool was a simple video press, was a video tool. Second tool I built was taking podcasts to your WordPress blog. And then I got invited to attend a conference, Podcast Movement, and that was my first time out in the real world, like talking to real people. And the community was amazing. So I fell in love with the podcasting community. It's such nice people, such friendly. It wasn't even about like customers. It was just about hanging out with cool people. And then anyway, so by doing that WordPress plugin, people told me, hey, can you automate this podcast to YouTube? And I'm like, no, that's not possible. I'm a WordPress automation guy. And then people kept insisting, can you build this tool that does this? And then that's how Repurpose was born. It's from our old customers. But the idea is we did one thing, podcast to YouTube. We got it. It worked literally, like no joke, no hand. The whole goal was like hands-free. You publish your podcast, it shows up on YouTube. You don't need to log into any software. That was like my vision. And when it worked, it was like, oh, this is magic. I love it. Well, what's next? And then Facebook Live was really popular back then.
Yeah.
Now, but it was the new thing. People were like, oh, is there any way I hate downloading my Facebook Lives and then going to YouTube and uploading them. I wish you could just, after I'm done my Facebook Live, can it just show up on my YouTube channel? I'm like, yeah, okay, I think so. Integrated Facebook. And then we built that feature. Boom, again, fully automated. And then it evolved from there. I mean, people love the automation. And then people said, can I have control? Like, can I pick this episode to go on a certain day? So we build a scheduler. Oh, can we chop it up into clips? Like, I don't want the whole episode. All right, we added clips. Oh, can you turn into a vertical video for me and add the captions and the headline? Oh yeah, we added that. So it evolved into once we build a heart, and then it evolved into all these extra features. And now you can go from Instagram, from Facebook Live, from YouTube to anywhere else. Or from TikTok as well to anywhere else, to Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram feeds. Like, we've integrated all the platforms, but it's an evolution. Some platforms wouldn't allow it. Then they open up their interface. So then we integrated. So it took this 5 years. I feel like we have it all covered. Like all the major platforms, TikTok, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, all Facebook, YouTube, all covered now. And then we even integrated podcasting as well. So you can turn YouTube videos into audio podcasts. So you can go the other way as well. Anyway, I'm talking a lot, but my point is it evolved from a single one feature. Like, I always like to start, let's build the core feature and build a system, like a machine that can do the automation. Then you start plugging in different, plug in here, let it go here, plug in this, then let it do this. And then we evolved over the past 5 years quite a bit.
So this is such good information, and I could definitely, I know the problem we're solving because we serve those people. Now I'm very curious. Do you find that it's the same, Hani? Do you find that it's the same individuals or type of avatar that likes to use Repurpose? Like, who is using it the most? Is it a marketing director? Is it a marketing specialist in a big team? Is it a smaller team? Is it the one-man show entrepreneur? Like, who is using your product?
Yeah, we have a variety of users, but our main target, like based on the price point, based on kind of the people that I interacted with in the beginning, especially the podcasting community, it's like the solopreneurs or small team. if you're Gary Vee and you have a team of 100 people that can edit videos all the time, all you need to do is shoot, and then someone else will take care of it, right?
Yeah.
Or, solo or small team that you want some systems in place that can automate. So it lets you upload your video to TikTok and then goes automatically to Twitter, to LinkedIn. That's the kind of people we want to help. Is like, we want to have a big presence, but without having a big team.
So literally, this is like a team in your phone, right? On your phone and on desktop.
Yeah.
By the way,
yeah, no, we don't have a mobile app. I mean, you can use it on your phone, but it's not designed for phone. It's based, but it's also designed so that you can automate some, we call them workflows. So some things can be fully automated, so you don't even need to log in.
Yeah.
Or some things you can log in and schedule content, create clips, all that from your web browser. So there's no all the heavy lifting is done on our side. So on your computer, all you need is a web browser, and you can control, manage, schedule, trim, do all that good stuff.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Now, as far as bigger groups, do you find that some I guess B2B businesses or those who are serving other creators, you find that they're leveraging repurpose.io, and if so, how are they using it?
Yeah, we have some agencies that use it like as a platform to manage their clients, even though we weren't initially targeting agencies. Some came in, they're like, oh, this is awesome. And then we ended up making an agency plan and putting it out there, and people are like, oh, great, I can manage 4, 5, 10 clients all in one interface, schedule the content.
Nice.
Great. I can design templates for each client. Like, so it wasn't designed initially for agency, but it is available for agency. And that's something we're looking at more this year, is how do we make it more agency friendly? Like, separate, having folders. So you can have each client in their own folder, and just from an organization perspective. So yeah, definitely agencies are more and more agencies are starting to look at this as an option, just because you can manage everything in one place: the scheduling, the creation, the edit, the trimming, and the publishing. Like, it's awesome from that perspective. You don't have to be checking all different places and uploading here and uploading there, and etc.
I have to plug us in if you're still in beta. Definitely love to give some feedback there. Where do you guys stand right now? Is that something that you're actively rolling out to agencies, or do you? Yeah,
it's available. Yeah, I mean, the agency plan just basically allows you more connections, so you can connect more of your clients' accounts. But yeah, the functionality is all the same. So yeah, it's available now. If you want to give it a try, happy to kind of walk you through it and see if it's a good fit and what you guys are doing, and or anybody out there. It's available for sure.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, no, we'll definitely check that out, because I know that we have a R&D guy that he'll definitely want to take a stab at it to see how we could use it, because I always got to support my people. So that's awesome. Let me ask you, Hani, what's next, DC? Because I see your trajectory. You are always kind of in that sweet spot of like 5. I don't know if you know it, 5 to 8 years doing that, and then you add on another thing, etc. Like, where is your eyeball? Like a guy like you who kind of understands content, understands creators, understands technology. Where are you paying attention right now?
I mean, to me, repurpose is like, I love the platform because it's a platform, not a tool in a sense. I know this sounds similar, but like if I build a tool, it has a limited number of features. There's only a certain number of things a tool can do. But repurpose, the way it was designed, and the really got me excited, is it's a platform. It's almost like Zapier in a sense.
Yeah.
So you connect new platforms. I roll out something new, comes out next year. Oh, let's integrate it. So you can, our whole repurpose connects 2 different platforms together and does some magic in between. So as more and more platforms come out, TikTok came out a couple of years ago. We just integrated it in the past 3-4 months. So as new things come out, we start saying, how can we take something from here, do some magic to it, and then send it here to help a content creator achieve what they're doing. So we're adding, we're integrating our own transcription services. We're looking to take a lot of those tools that we built for WordPress in the past, like when we get started, put them into repurpose themselves. So you can publish from repurpose to your blog, take a video, get automatically transcribed, fix it up, post it to your blog automatically. Just connecting things so that you, as a content creator, you can have your content in different places. And then we've been focusing on audio and video a lot. Well, it was starting with audio, and then it became a video platform.
Yeah.
And then we're thinking of going further, like we can repurpose into text, like we said, blogs. What about social media text posts? What about graphics? Like there's so many things we can spin up and integrate. So we have a huge backlog of crazy ideas, and now we launched the board so people can give their feedback on what they want to see next, and merge that together. Because sometimes I drive it one way, and people are like, "Wow, I didn't know that's possible." And sometimes they're like, "No, we don't really want this. We want, what about this? And what about Pinterest? And what about these other platforms? Can you integrate those?" So it's always a balance of what customers want. And then we have a vision as well of where the software is going to be. So
yeah,
we need to do both. We're doing both.
Experimentation. I always experiment. And the reason why is I'm always trying to find the best tool, the best method, and the best vehicle to help me get to my end goal. One of the tools that we use in the short-term rental space is Guesty for Hosts. Now, Experimentation, you know that I love to test things, and I wouldn't be sharing with you anything that I don't use myself. As a short-term rental superhost, Airbnb superhost, listings that we own and co-host at the same time, I can tell you that there's no better software that allows us to streamline our business. Right now, currently, there's actually 3 properties right now that are currently where guests are checking in, and I'm here with you, and I did not need to send in check-in instructions for these current properties, right? There are multiple ways that you can streamline your operation from on the front end and on the back end, from being able to create a website, from being able to get income reports for your team, to looking at statistics, to setting up auto reviews, to integrating your smart lock so that you don't have to sit here and send every day and remind yourself to send the passcodes for your smart locks. No, instead you can integrate directly the exact same way that you can actually send your cleaners a link so that they don't have to remind themselves when they need to go to cleanings. There's text reminders that go out. There's links that can go out for them. This is a tool that if you're looking to give a smooth experience for your team on the back end, it will truly reflect, and it does, for your guests on the front end. Make sure you go to host.guesty.com and use our unique link. Our unique link will be in our bio, in the show notes. If you're currently watching this, you'll see it right here at the bottom of my screen. Use this unique link so that you can tell Guesty that I sent you. You don't want to miss out on this. You need a PMS, property management software, in your business if you're looking to operate like a super host that you deserve to be, so that your guests can have the best experience that they deserve to have at your properties. Again, that host.guesty.com. Use our unique link that is here on the screen, in the bio, and in the show notes if you're listening to this, guys. Happy hosting. That's neat. Talk to me a little bit about the TikTok, because I'm very curious. I see that more as an organic platform, and how are you able to tap into that and repurpose content on that? I'm just very curious for the people as well listening.
Yeah, so it's our new integration, our latest one, since I think we rolled it out in January this year. And wow, like honestly, I had no idea that the response was gonna be so great. Like I was teasing a bit about it. I got active on TikTok in November, knowing that we're going to launch this integration in January. So I started posting about content repurposing, doing my homework, researching about who's talking about that. And man, a lot of people talk about content repurposing, and the way people take a TikTok video and post it on other platforms, everyone made the same video. And all it was, copy the link from TikTok, paste it to this app called Snapkick, download the TikTok video, watermark free, and then upload it to the, I'm like, really? No, it's got to be a better way, right? So I'm like, repurpose, we have the platform. So we integrate TikTok. So now all you need to do is just post a video to TikTok. Our software will download it without that TikTok watermark, post it to Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and in your Instagram feed without you having to touch your computer or log into any software. And that's what I do. And I was like, and I started posting about that, and people were going nuts. They're like, where have you been all my life? Like, this is amazing. So it's a great, TikTok became a very great integration, because it's not only like we solve a problem by just studying what people are doing now, and they're like, oh, it's too manual. Like, we got to automate that. And then when we launched it, we went back to that community and said, hey, we have a solution, and people loved it. So that's one way of using it. Like, if you are already on TikTok or you already post short form content to TikTok, you can distribute that everywhere, YouTube Shorts, everywhere else we talked about. But it can also go the other way as well. So if you do an interview like this, you can take a 1-minute clip from, YouTube version or the Zoom. We have a Zoom integration as well. So you can take a Zoom recording and make a 1-minute clip, turn it to vertical, and post that to TikTok. You can go the other way as well. So depending on, we try to design a platform depending on, we don't want you to change how you create content. If you like YouTube, go to YouTube, and we'll take it from there and repurpose it everywhere. If you prefer doing Zoom recordings, perfect. Zoom record, we can repurpose from there. If you prefer short form TikToks, perfect. Go there, we'll repurpose from there. We just launched an Instagram integration so that you can repurpose from Instagram. So if you like to go to Instagram, where you go live on Instagram, because you can go longer than the 1 minute or whatever 10-minute limit, then you can go live on Instagram, turn that into a podcast, turn that into a YouTube video. Like, the possibilities are endless. It's so, and that was our latest integration. And it's just, it's just the possibilities are endless. So the whole point is we don't want to change how the content creator creates. If they like audio podcasts, just paste your podcast feed into our software, and we'll see all your episodes, pick the ones you want, and publish them everywhere. So that's always been a very big decision. How do we make this seamless so that it doesn't interfere with how you create your content? You don't have to upload anything to repurpose. That's always been my design rule. Do not force the creator to get a copy of that video and put it onto repurpose. You never have to. We grab it from whatever platform and we send it to whatever platform.
Where do you think right now, and again, I know this is going to change, so I'm just curious, because you see data across the board, maybe even for some of your videos, where do you think the creators that you serve are getting the most traction on when you look, Apple to Apple, or at least you try to across multiple platforms? Is there one that stands out, or a couple that stand out as like, okay, these are the platforms where people get a lot of engagement?
Yeah, right now it's TikTok. I know people hate it. I'm not saying hate it, but people are afraid of it. But people, like, I was afraid of it. I was like, I'm not going to get on TikTok and dance. That's not my thing, right? I don't dance. It's not about dancing. At least it's not anymore. I don't know if it was in the beginning. It's not anymore. It's the easiest way to get traction and our organic views, engagement, build an audience on TikTok. I enjoy it. I'm like, what am I going to talk about in 60 seconds? Like, I don't get it. Like, how are people doing this? Then once you start doing it, you have a little structure. It's like, get your hook, deliver your value, have a call to action, like a simple, like, 3-step approach. And I record 3 little videos, stitch them together with that TikTok. In a few minutes, I have a TikTok video. And, I built my channel pretty quickly. I'm not saying I have massive growth, but for me to go from like 2 subscribers to over 1,000 in like a month, and these are like people who engage with my content all the time, who like repurposing. I can't do that on YouTube. Not even on YouTube. YouTube would be my next bet. That's tried, true. That's always works if you do your right research and stuff. But TikTok right now, it's great and short form content is amazing. It's fun too. Actually, it's fun. I know it's hard for some people because you think, oh, what am I going to say in 1 minute? But you can get a lot of value. You can deliver a lot of value in 1 minute.
No, totally. That's really interesting, because that's one of the things I constantly think about. What would you say to someone who's trying to create more content and is given the tools, a platform like yours, when it comes to content curation? Can you talk about how either one should do it using your software, or how one can do it in your software or with your software? Because obviously it's important to know what pieces of content we should actually be repurposing. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I always say, pick the type of content that you like. If you prefer writing, do writing. If you prefer audio only, you're afraid to be in front of the camera, or you're not afraid, like you're nervous in front of the camera, you don't like it, fine, do audio podcast. There's nothing wrong with it. Interview people. If you're comfortable on camera, do a video. And if you're comfortable, even better, if you do live video. To me, it's like the best to get out there quickly, because you get it out there without having to edit any content, which is a beautiful thing, because editing is fun for people maybe like us who are geeks, but most people don't have time to edit. So going live, you just do it and you're done, and then you can repurpose it. So it doesn't matter if you like long form. To me, I call long form anything over like 1 or 2 minutes. So if you're not comfortable, there's a short form video and long form video. And if you like short form, my recommendation is go to TikTok and then distribute that everywhere else. Because you can get a lot of organic reach on TikTok and then kind of let it trickle out to the other platforms. If you think 1 minute videos are too hard to make, then do an interview or do a webinar, like almost like if you have some kind of webinar that you do to your audience, just take that, record that, put that onto YouTube, and then slice it up into little clips that you can repurpose over, a few weeks of content, all derived from that one video. So the beauty of long form is you can turn that into a lot of different content.
Yeah.
The little clips for TikTok, for Twitter, for LinkedIn, and you can share it out over time so that you have a library of content scheduled out, all by creating one single video.
That's awesome. So let's talk about I can see your, the visionary, you get an idea, it gets done fairly quickly. For those of us who are kind of geeking out on software as a service as well, in addition to what it can do for our audience, like talk about, you talked about the investment, you talked about the team, what can one even think of, like what is a red flag of like, okay, that's too cheap, and then versus, oh, actually, no, that sounds about industry average when it comes to even costs or team of people involved, just so that if someone's trying to get into it, they know that they either need to, they're either coming out with could be $250,000, maybe it's just 50K, 10K, like, could you give some context? I think there's a lot of, services out there that are popping up, and we're trying to basically educate experimentation on what's good and what's bad.
Yeah, I mean, you said, if I understand correctly, like starting your own software, like someone's
like going, like now we're talking about like your kind of like your angle, like where you came from, like you started your own software. What does that look like? Are you having the engineer background, you have the entrepreneurship background, you have the business background, you've kind of seen it all at this point. Like kind of what's a good kind of baseline for someone looking to get into this space?
Yeah, so if you're not a technical person, I would say, first answer, I had a lot of people ask me, hey, I'm thinking of starting software. Don't do it unless, like, if you're technical, no question, you got to get into it. If you're not technical, don't do it unless you have somebody who's technical. Like you get a, CTO or a co-founder who's a technical person to guide you through the process, to work with the developers or to hire the team. Because a lot of people may not realize when you build a software, it's not like you build it and you're done. You got to maintain it. You got to update the backend. Servers go down. You got to update this. It's a commitment. It's a long-term commitment, especially if you're doing a SaaS software. It's a long-term commitment. You can't just hire some contractors and then they disappear and then you're done. You have this app that's running, and then one day the server goes down. Then what? What do you do, right? You have a lot of angry customers who just paid you money. So it's a commitment. That's why you have to love what you're doing and have somebody that, if you can make them a co-founder or kind of part of the initial investment, that they're part of the team for life, they can manage the technical side. Or if you're technical or slightly technical, then you can manage it. My take was, I'm already technical. I didn't do the coding or anything, but I was technical enough to understand and work with a team and grow the team that way. So it's not, if you're building something else like a WordPress plugin or something that you add, like maybe a desktop software, I don't know if we still build desktop software anymore, but, or if you're building an app for your phone, maybe you can get away with it without having a lot of technical skills because the maintenance is much lower. But if you're building a SaaS, there's servers, databases, staging, like there's so much that happens in the back end, and you need to have a long-term plan of who's going to manage that technical side. Even if the team changes, and it's going to happen, right? You're going to lose people. You need a technical person to understand the tech behind it and manage the right team to maintain it. That's my advice. It's not easy if you're not technical.
Oh, absolutely. It's not easy. And I know that definitely you were talking about it. You having the product owner background and that more or less similar as a BA product owner. And it's there's a lot of nuances and moving pieces to go from testing environment to production and understanding the life cycle of an entire project. I guess from an entrepreneur like yourself, like, I've done a lot of consulting in the big corporations where the budgets are, bananas, right? Um, for someone like, who may be listening, who has some capital, who's looking to get into it, what again, what is a good baseline of, I mean, your software is now like if not a 3-headed, 4-headed, 10-headed monster, and that's evolved over time. But if someone is trying to get maybe into something to solve one issue, as kind of like what we talked about, like this one direct issue, like what could be some of the dev costs, what could be some of the maintenance costs? Like, I'm just very curious. I think that would serve experimentation some insight as to, like, what it looks like and what does it even mean to have a software.
Yeah, I mean, my recommendation is to start small. So if you're just starting small, you can, spin up a couple Amazon servers or DigitalOcean. Like, it comes some servers for, again, if you're just kind of beta testing, experimenting, for a couple $100 a month, you can get a couple servers. Developers range depending which country they're from, and it's hard.
Have you outsourced a lot of
yeah. I mean, my team's remote. Everyone's remote in my team, but we've been working with the same team since day one. The same guy that built first prototype is still with us now 5 years later.
Nice.
But one thing I'd like to say is, if you have a big idea, break it down to a small idea and test it. Don't go. I made this mistake in the beginning when I built our first tool for WordPress. I'm like, it's got to do this. I gave it to somebody. All right, can you build this? Yeah, no problem. 4 months later, nothing. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, oh, this excuse after excuse. And I was like, okay, this is not working out. And then I said, okay, let me regroup. What is the one thing what's the main problem that we're solving? Get that built, get that in front of people, and then expand on it. That way you're not risking all your money on building a big app or a big platform.
Yeah.
One feature, get it out, get feedback. Are people willing? Do they like it? And are they willing to pay for it? Right? Because
that's
one thing. If they're willing to pay for it, that's it. We all need money for the business to run, right?
Yep, a monthly recurring revenue for sure.
Yeah. So that's what I did. Is like I use a lot of the customers who bought the WordPress plugin. Use that to kind of fund what we were doing with Repurpose. And then when I was like 6 months away and I had something kind of working, I said, all right, I did a webinar. I said, anybody welcome to join this webinar. All the past customers, we're building a new platform. Did a webinar, presented it. If you like it, it's like, you invest a couple $100 and you get first access in 6 months. And if it for some reason in 6 months you don't like it, you get your money back. But I got people to put money on the table for something that wasn't built yet. I mean, it was built, but it wasn't available yet.
Yeah.
But because they were already customers, they already trusted me. They're like, yes, whatever Hani's building, I want it. So they, I had enough people say yes and pay money. I was like, all right, that validated that I'm in the right direction. So
yeah, there's so many lessons there. Like, even when you talk about, what I'm hearing is it's such a good echo of, like, even like in business, right? Like, or even a doctor, right? Like, solve one problem at a time, like a specialist for every problem, right? And then, at the same time, one of my coaches, talks about he's not so much product space, more coaching space, but anytime he's building a course, he doesn't build the course and then give it to the people. He gets people to commit to the course and he builds it with them. Which is, those are some of the elements that I'm trying to pull out of this kind of huddle that we're having right now. Because I think, success leaves clues. And even if you're in respective space in the content space, which again, a lot of our listeners are in that space because they want to build a thought leadership brand. A lot of our clients are in that space because they're trying to, do the same. There's, layers of clues that are very consistent, almost like laws of niching down, solving one problem at a time. And then as it comes along, you can kind of progress from that and always go back to the user, right? So it's called UAT testing, right? It's for the user to really understand, their pain points and problem. And it's the same with everything that we do. So it's really neat. I really appreciate you kind of like opening up the door to us. And I really want to give an opportunity for our listeners to really tap into your most recent baby, repurpose.io. I mean, you have a lot of again, like I said, it seems like the other companies are still going, right? Is there one that you've kind of pivoted or stopped ever since, or maybe lessons learned from one that you wouldn't do again?
Yeah, I mean, just the fact other softwares were not recurring. They were one time. You can continue to pay if you just to get all the upgrades and latest versions, but it wasn't a recurring business model. And it's hard because you need money coming in so you can fund more development.
Yeah.
But those products are still there. We maintain them. They're part of our suite. Like if you're in Repurpose, then you want to buy the tools, you can have the option to buy these add-ons. So, because they're all about repurposing. It's a different kind of repurposing. It's repurposing content to your blog, but it is about repurposing. But what's really interesting, I just want to circle back to this. I think it's really important. Is what I did not know that repurpose was ever going to come to. Like I didn't know that I was going to build Repurpose. Like I started by saying, I'm solving one problem with the video to my blog. People said, can you do this for this, for this? And then one day people were like, can you just go from here to here? And I'm like, no, I kept saying, no, I can't. I'm a WordPress guy. All I do is automate 2 WordPress. And then enough people asked me, and I said, you know what? It's like they're calling me. They're like, I felt almost responsible to at least give it a try. Just like go beyond my comfort zone of WordPress, go into having my own servers and maintaining the SaaS. And let's try it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I felt like calling. Like this is my calling. I should be doing this. And the name Repurpose is a funny story because I knew I wanted a 1-word name, like something easy. Like all my other products were simple video press, simple podcast press, simple Facebook, whatever. It was something simple, something. And I'm like, I need a short 1-word name. And then I was driving one day and I picked up my daughter from daycare. Not daycare, it was like after school program. Anyway, pulled into the parking lot. Repurpose. Obviously, that's a brilliant name. Repurpose.com. Taken. And then repurpose.io. Yeah, that sounds cool. I just bought it on the spot. I'm like, what
is repurpose.com? What do they do?
I think it's something like furniture repurposing or like something that is content. And repurposing is kind of a generic term. Anyway, I remember buying it in the car before I picked up my daughter. I was like, whether I use it or not, I don't care. I love the name. It's short. And .io's got a cool like software vibe to it.
It really is.
And then it stuck, and I was like, brilliant. But anyway, I was thinking like didn't know I was going to build Repurpose. I was just building one little thing, and things evolve, right? You don't have to have the whole big picture. You start with solving one thing, and then you'll learn from that, and you'll pivot, add, grow, and you'll get to where you are. And you'll be surprised. Like I look back, and I'm like, how did we get here? Like, it's an evolution over time, but it's just I couldn't have planned this. Like I never even thought I was going to build a platform. Never in my life.
I'm very curious when I hear that. Are you like a planner or like a dreamer? So say like, I don't know, some people are big into personal development. I know I am, but was that always a thing, or you kind of just went by like, let me just do what I do? Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, do what I do. I was like, I wanted to create something. That was the itch I wanted. When I first built that first simple video press, I wanted to create something and put it out to the world, like create a software. Right. And when I did that, I was like, more motivated. It's like, oh, people love it. Not about the money. It wasn't like a lot of money, but it was like people are getting value from something that I built. This is cool. Let's do it again. It became addictive. I was like, then what else can I build to save people time and save people effort? And then it evolved from WordPress automations to Repurpose now. And that's what I like about Repurpose. Like I mentioned earlier, it's like the possibilities are endless. Something else comes out tomorrow. Well, let's see if we can plug it in. There's all these like decentralized networks like rumble.com and other platforms. And there's always new stuff happening. And they're like, hey, we can connect it to Repurpose. Repurpose becomes like a hub. So it's not like we're going to run out of ideas. We have a ton of ideas, and it's always going to be new platforms coming out. There's going to be new ways to automate and distribute them.
About how many users are on the platform?
We've had around like 20,000 like gone through the trial over the past 5 years. active, probably around 1,500 or so that are active right now.
Wow, that's amazing.
But it's just
What's
like a lot of content published through our platform, a lot.
yeah. Let me ask you, do you ever get to find out like, their success stories or like your biggest testimonial? Like, what is it? Because I think at some point for our listeners to hear, like when you talk about solving a pain point, I'd love to hear it from you, from your
Yeah, I'll be honest, we're not very good at that in terms of like we hear things, we got a lot of testimonial, like people commenting in our Facebook group or sending us email. Oh, I love it. I've had something customers say, I wanted to start a project and I wanted to promote it, but I saw Repurpose, it allowed me to start a second project because I was able to automate. Like you hear a lot of interesting stories about how much like they love the automation and that it frees up their time to do other things, like other projects that they want to take on. So, but actual case studies, like not numerical case studies, we should be doing. I mean, we have a lot of the data.
Yeah, you should repurpose that content, my man.
Yeah, get that up, start talking to more customers and
Yeah.
and
I think it'd be really cool to even have a project where it could be like a giveaway or something, and you get people to tell their story of like repurposed content. Yeah, or like what does repurposing content mean to you? Or repurposing content for me means blank. Or like what's the impact that repurposing has had? And when you get all that content submitted, you can literally repurpose it as marketing.
it's like it's almost like a testimonial, but it's even better because it's about how they're
People.
using it and what value it's adding to their business. Yeah, that's
And
great.
the fact that you're repurposing your strategy to do it.
Content, yeah, we're doing more and more. Like I'm a tech guy, right? You can tell from the story so far, but now the team is big enough. I mean, we're not a huge team. We're still a pretty lean team, which is great because we get stuff done pretty quickly. But I'm slowly getting into like this kind of like marketing, more of the content, more like the business, the growth side of things, which is good. I like technical stuff. I like to geek out on like API documentation and like what's possible to build. But at the same time, it's like I'm enjoying like seeing what else we can do from a business marketing content. What else can we do to get our message out there, our content out there, so people learn more about Repurpose. So, as CEO, you put on a lot of hats and you do a lot of different things, and you got to build your team around it to help you support you and as you overlook everything.
Absolutely. Well, listen, we are going, I'll tell you one thing. We are going to repurpose the stuff of the content out of this one. I can promise you that, because I think you give a lot of our core values. And I think it's really also important for our community to understand the power behind repurposing content and what it's built to do for people. And then again, having a software, I should say, I'll correct myself, platform like yours, because it's beyond just a tool. It is beyond just a software. It is a platform that's evolving as the world evolves as well, which I love. And that's why I had to have you here. And I was lucky. I'm acting like, I had to have you here. I am lucky that you chose to come here. Thanks to shout out to Amy Woods. You guys know, I forget which episode we had Amy Woods step into the lab on the content repurposing herself. But, we live, we breathe this stuff. We like to connect with the best. And we were so grateful to have you today step into our lab to see how you can actually sharpen the tools of our community in their own lab. Before you drop out, before you go ahead and repurpose your on with your day, Hani, I want to definitely make sure I give you an opportunity to let our audience know, kind of like what, where they can find you. Obviously, you're wearing the shirt right now. If you're watching this, you see repurpose.io on the screen. That's a nice shirt. I got it, man. I'm gonna ask for one. I gotta ask for one, brother. I want that shirt, man. I gotta get a shirt. I'm a size. What am I these days? Am I going medium or large? I'm going to large. So I want a shirt. I want to support the movement. But if you're currently listening to this, you're not watching, you can find them repurpose.io. Where else can the people be in touch with you and find out about what's going on in your world with you and your team?
Probably I'm out on all the social media platforms. I'm everywhere. I check everything, but probably Facebook. For me personally, if you want to hook up with me, it's Facebook. Look me up, Hani Mourra, or Twitter. I'm on there as well. I'm on everywhere. But I'd love to connect with people. Actually, Yeah, I'll leave it at that. Let's see, Facebook and Twitter. But I check everything. We have to check, right? We got to be
Absolutely.
on we're on all the platforms, so we got to monitor all the platforms.
Absolutely. I like that you said that. That's good man right there. Well,
Yeah.
listen, you guys, you heard it here again. Thank you so much, Hani, for stepping into the lab. And just like that, we are out.
Hold up. We've come to the end of the Real Estate Experiment show, brought to you by my team at investedtalent.com. However, the show will certainly not stop from here, because you will share this with someone who was not in the lab with us. Any value that you found was helpful, any experiment that you feel can benefit someone else who was not here, please share it with them. And number two, definitely leave us a review. It helps us and it helps other people find our show to benefit from experimenters like yourself, right? We are trying to build an experiment nation where the experiments that you resonate the most with, you will double down on. That is the goal. Now, the reason why the show does not end here is because my team at Invested Talent repurposes this show so that other people who are not consuming the show, either by the medium that you're consuming it now, whether it's a podcast, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Instagram, wherever you are, we will take clips from this show and repurpose them and amplify them, put them on multiple social media platforms so that the message and the experiments can be consumed in a way that fits the person best. Now, if you'd like to have the same for your brand, make sure you go to investedtalent.com, where we've helped multiple thought leaders in the real estate space repurpose their content so that they can grow their brand. We specifically work with people who are looking to have an impact, whether you have an existing show or a brand new show, whether it's a podcast, whether it's clips or interviews or episodes. We will take that raw content and repurpose it on multiple social media platforms, because your voice, your experiments need to be heard in the marketplace so that we can all have an impact, so we can impact others and we can all elevate together. On that note, make sure you tune into the next one, and let's build, y'all.